Yeah, hi. Hello all.
Yeah.
Welcome back. So in the previous session, we have covered the first part of the availability check configuration, right?
Yeah.
So now we will go through the second part of the availability check configuration. So now I think you are ready for that. Let me go through the path. SPRO, here SAP reference IMG, then
Sales and
sales and
distribution.
distribution, and
Basic
here
functions.
basic functions, in which, what is that?
Transfer, availability check and transfer of requirements.
Yes, availability check and transfer of requirement. So
Yeah.
this is the step in which we can configure transfer of requirement as well as the availability check configuration also.
Okay.
Okay. See, now here the second option is availability check, right?
Okay.
So in which we can see three types of availability check. So
Yeah.
whenever you are attending to the interviews, they may ask you how many types of availability check we can configure in SAP.
Hmm.
So in the standard SAP, we can configure how many types?
Standard SAP.
We can configure three types,
Details.
right? So
Okay.
what are the three types?
Availability check with ATP logic.
Yes, with
Product allocation.
one is ATP logic, based on ATP logic, and the second one is
Product allocation.
okay, and the third one is
Rule based.
yes, this is the one, a rule based availability check.
Okay.
So which one we have covered? Which one we are going to cover now?
ATP logic.
Yes, the availability check based on the ATP logic. So what do you know about ATP?
Promise like
What?
ATP is availability
Available to?
you promise.
Yes. Okay. So now let me go through the configuration here, and in which, what is the first option we can find? Define checking groups.
Yeah.
So this is nothing but definition of the availability check. This part we have covered in the previous session, right?
Okay.
And if you haven't gone through that video, you can go through the previous session and you can come to know how can we define the new checking groups.
Okay.
Okay, and for your
Okay.
kind information, I just will create a new one here. See, here 01 is there, right?
Hmm. 0.
So I will make it as M1. M1 is already exist. Let me see. Yes, M1 and M2 are already exist, right?
Yeah.
So let me delete them because I can create a new one for you. See here, let me take 01. So 01 is not there. I think I might have deleted this.
Okay.
Daily requirements. So here it is 01, and this one is B, and total delivery requirements also B, right?
Okay.
Okay. See now what I will do, I will create M1 and as well as M2. M1 is for daily requirements and M2 is for individual requirements. Now I will copy 02 and I will make it as M2.
Okay.
So here if you see the daily requirements M1 and the individual requirements M2, the both are here.
Yeah.
And as I have already told you what exactly the total sales and the total delivery requirements and what is the no check here and for which availability check we will use no check. So that's what we have already covered in the previous session, right?
Yes.
So now let us go through the next option here. What is that? Define material block for other users.
Yeah.
So now let me execute this. See, here we can see availability check, which is nothing but the checking group, as well as initiator and block,
Okay.
right? See here, what we can do is we can block based on the availability check and initiator combination.
Okay.
So what exactly we can do in this configuration? We can either block or unblock based on availability check and what is the second one?
Indicator.
Not indicator, it is initiator.
Initiator. Sorry, initiators.
Okay. So now let me tell you what exactly the initiator is. So I think I have covered this one. Can you please let me know what exactly the initiator?
Yeah.
Yes, I am waiting for the reply from you.
Yeah. Initiator is nothing but specific. Initiator specifies which transaction should be blocked, like
Yes,
yeah, in order level or delivery level.
yes,
There you
exactly.
have to block the material.
Yes, exactly. Initiator which specifies which transactions should be blocked. Either it is a sales order or the delivery.
Yeah.
Okay. So now let me show you what exactly the options we can find in the initiator. See here we can find the value as A, which means you can block the order. And if the initiator value as B, then we can block the delivery note. And if it is C, reservation of the material. Okay.
Okay.
See now let me give you a small example here. Let us take our availability check as M1. I think the color is, yes, see, let me change the color. See, availability check is M1 and if you would like to block it order, okay, so for the order what is the initiator we will use? A.
Order A.
Then we will check the block here and if the initiator is B and if you don't want to block at delivery, then you will not check the block here. Okay. So here, why should we block? That's what you have to come to know, right? So what exactly we can do in this configuration is nothing but if multiple users are performing the availability check or availability of the same material at the same time, then how the system has to get response. That's what we will control in this configuration step. Are you clear?
Clear.
So now let me take an example of the material X. So this is what is the material and let me take some users. So here A is one end user and B is also one end user, and as well as that C is also one end user. Okay, and let us assume that the stock of the material X is 100, which is available in unrestricted use.
Okay.
And here the user A is performing the availability of the material. Nothing but he is creating the sales order for the quantity of 50. And here B is also creating the sales order for the quantity of 50. And C for the quantity of 60. Okay. So if we are not using this configuration,
Oh,
then what will happen? System will confuse whom it has to get confirmed, because here the required quantity is 50 and here it is 50 and here it is 60. So the total required quantity is 160.
okay.
But what exactly the available quantity of the material in unrestricted use? It's just
100.
100 only,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, yes.
So in this configuration, what we can do is, if you put the block here at the sales order level, means whenever you are creating the sales order, at that time this availability check has to get performed. So
Okay.
if the initiator is A and if you put the block, then if the A is entering the material in the sales order, then what the
Okay.
system will do? System will block the block the availability of the material X for the user B and C. Once A is completed the order, then only the system will allow the B to, what is that, perform the availability of that material. Likewise to C also. So I think you are clear with it. Do you have any doubt
Okay.
on it?
No, nothing, nothing.
No, right?
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Then now let us move to the next configuration step here.
Okay.
Okay. So what is that? Define
Checking
checking
group
group's
default.
default value.
Okay.
So by reading itself only we can come to know what exactly the configuration which we can do with this step.
Okay.
Can you guess what exactly we can do with this step?
It is like availability check only. So like,
Yes, yes. But what exactly the nomenclature?
default value means like
Hmm?
automatically uh, it will perform availability check, right? If we check that.
Yeah, let me tell you. See, in this configuration step, what exactly we can do is, let me mark it as this one. See, in this configuration step, actually
Okay.
this step will helps us to determine availability check in the material master by default.
Okay.
So what exactly it means is, if you are creating a new material, what is the transaction you use to create? MM01, right?
Yeah.
So when you are creating the new material master, you are filling all the details, right? What is the base
Yes.
unit of measure? What is the what is this item category group? What is the sales group? What is the plant? All these things you are filling while you are creating the material, right or wrong?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. So along with them, you will also fill, means you will also give the value for availability check, right? What are the values mostly you will give? Either 01 or 02
0
or KP. It's nothing but the
no check.
no check. So in the standard you can give either 01 or 02 or KP. So
Okay.
all the time you are giving them manually.
Hmm.
So when you make some configuration in this step, then by default the availability check will come whenever you are creating the new material master. Are you clear with it?
Clear, clear.
See, now I will let you know how can you configure this. So if before that, let me tell you on what basis you can configure this. We can configure it on the basis of what is that? Material type, then plant. So now let us take the material type as FET, okay,
Okay.
and the plant is
M100.
M100. So what is the availability check you would like to give? Let us take M1. Is it okay to you?
Yeah, okay.
So now let me go through the combination FET and plant here is M100. Okay, but seems there is no entry available here.
Okay.
That is the reason whenever you are creating a material in that plant, you have to give the availability check manually. That's what we are doing now. So now I would like to configure it by going through the new entries here, and let me give the material type as FET, nothing but the finished good. And what is the plant?
M100.
Yes. And what is the availability check? Nothing but the checking group which you would like to use?
M1.
M1, nothing but the daily requirements, right?
Okay.
So now let me save it. So I have saved it now. So now let me check how the configuration works. Now let me go through the creation of new material. Here the material is uh, test one. Is it okay?
Okay, test one.
So now this is the FET material. Material type is finished product. And now let me select all these views. Okay, so I have selected only some views.
Okay.
So here the plant is M100 and the storage location is M103 and sales arg is M100 and distribution channel is M1. Okay, so here let me name it as test material, and here base unit of measure is BT, and let me go material group, then here classifications, and let me move to the sales arg 1. See here in the sales arg 1, let me give the tax classification of the material. Then to the sales arg 2, and see here the availability check. This field value came automatically. We haven't entered it, right? So how it came automatically here? Because of the configuration which we have done. Okay, so and you may get a requirement in your project that the availability check has to be get pop-up, means it has to be come automatically while the users are
Okay.
creating the materials.
There we have to make the changes.
Yes,
And
yes,
so it
exactly.
will get automatically here.
Yes, exactly. So hope you are clear with the session, and if you have any queries in this regard, you can ask me now.
Okay then.
Okay, so
Clear,
now I
clear.
am not saving this material. In the next session, I think we will cover the carryout control. So now let me check here in availability check in the ATP logic. See, in the next session, we will go through the carryout control for availability check. Okay, so in which we can find many controls. I will let you know what exactly these controls. Okay, so for now, I am closing the session.
Okay.
Okay then. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.